So I just did a video about this scientist that did this in Germany. This is an actual proof of how the brainwashing, what it does, because what this man did, it's still. And if you didn't see my last video, basically he deliberately put foster care kids between the ages of 11 and what was it, 11 and 14. He placed them deliberately in with pedophiles for pedophiles to abuse them because his reasoning was that it would help re-socialize them. So now this whole thing has been disputed because there's since 2023 and there's the whole report done, but they can't get it out of the system. The students still believe his work. The people that were harmed by this, the foster care kids, can't get help because the social workers and the experts, because this was such a network, and I'll read it in a minute, that it was protected at the education level. They protected the most depraved shit. They used diversity too. So for the nursing profession here, you might want to stop your diversity stuff. It's looking really bad for all of you because I'm not going to let it go. You can call me crazy, but nobody should call me crazy after listening to this. Because this is the same thing playing out with this transgenderism. And they'll do it to bring in this pedophilia, because now Germany's having problems getting this out of the education system. It's in their education system. So this says that the Kentler experiment was talking about it's a powerful nationwide pedosexual network. The current interim report goes even further and speaks of an abuse network that is interwoven with many actors and state and church institutions throughout West Germany. The interviews with those affected in particular reveal the entire incredible dimension of the network at a time when pedophiles stylized themselves as an excluded sexual minority and even as victims. Numerous pedophile support groups emerged. The data subject further reports that they were often at home. Some of this is choppy because it was translated. At home with some of these pedosexual men and went on a trip with them. In the context of this, there was sexualized violence, which did not worry much about them since the men had time for them and were always framed by their environment as the good guys. So the people abusing the foster kids were framed by the public as the good guys, which is why intentional action could be impossible. These men from the parish made the affected person, meaning the victim, along with various associations and institutions that explicitly addressed homosexuals. In one of these clubs, the person concerned reports further, a so-called pedophile roundtable was set up so that persons concerned had points of contact with the pedophile scene, so that no matter where the victim, because I'm sure what they mean by the concerned person or the affected person is the victim, so that no matter where they went to for help, whether it was to authorities, the government, the education, or more psychologists, they would always be met. It was always covered by people that supported this sickness. From today's perspective, the person concerned, the victim, names that under the guise of care, it was primarily about sexual violence and exploitation. This nationwide pedophile ring stabilized itself through power structures which have been recognized to this day. Publicly known officials such as church members and scientists are preserved. The attacks were made possible by direct or indirect constellations, by conscious looking away and silence. In addition to many actors spread across Germany, the State Youth Office in Berlin played a central role in this. For a long time, the Demo für Alle points this out, that with the death of Kentler in 2008, the pedocriminal cartel did not simply disappear. The network with which Helmut Kentler was interwoven has an impact to the present day has now been scientifically confirmed. According to the authors, the network also includes scientists who continue to receive Kentler's writings or receive and thus neither clearly distance himself from the figure Kentler and his positions and actions, which do not report on their knowledge of sexual assault in this context and beyond, have still critically examined his positions as legit. The results of the interim report have proven our worst fears. The network around Kentler is still active. The representatives of the sexual pedagogy of diversity must also be counted, which are still based on Kentler's emancipatory sexual pedagogy. The fact that Kentler even sexually abused minors, according to the interim report, makes this even worse. At the latest now, it is clear anyone who still refers positively to Kentler today is talking to a dangerous criminal. We must therefore insist once again that the ideas of Kentler and his students urgently disappear from our sexual education teaching materials, as well as teaching and educational plans for schools and daycare centers. Now is the time. Now it is also clear why the numerous victims of this pedophile ring have so far hardly spoken publicly, and why they are only able to do so with great difficulty to date, because they would have to entrust themselves to a science that abused them. But it's worse than that. The study points out several times that the victims were exposed to post-traumatic stress as part of the review. Rather, the massive fears and uncertainties that also stem from the fact that Kentler's positions are still advocated, trivialized, and even heroized, especially in the official sex education science discourse. Those affected report attempts at therapy and direct confrontations in the perpetrator and supporter environment at the time, in which they were not taken seriously. They were rejected or described as sick with their abuse. This also includes representatives of the evangelical church who ignore violence and border violations by not responding to critical inquiries. These different actor or bystander positions created feelings for those affected from fear to fainting and helplessness. Accordingly, these actors or bystanders, in particular, the scientific and professional public of child and youth welfare, still have a power that threatens those affected and to which they are exposed. So what I just read is a report that they're having trouble because the science still believes this. That's the brainwashing that's been done. To the media, to the state representatives, the people in charge of the youth, it's just terrifying. It's terrifying because you see them doing this whole thing now here, and it's going to be to push this pedophilia stuff. Think these children were abused. They were between 11 and 14, deliberately placed with pedophile men, so that they would be abused. Yet because some science expert or psychology expert, people want to believe. See, this is why I say the people that are higher educated are the most brainwashed. Snap the hell out of it. Stop listening to CNN. They're nothing but liars. I know what I'm talking about. If you want to run around this country and try to put a bunch of Q people into some box and say they're fine, you can't do that with me. I didn't follow Q. I'm a nurse. I know what I'm talking about. Inside the secret experiment that purposely left orphan children with pedophiles. And what do you see down there? This was all because it was an open call for pedophilia. That's why they're pushing transgenderism on children here. They want the public and the science and the universities and our media and our politicians want it too. They want to help normalize pedophilia. To hell with you people. Not going to happen. And just to, see foster care, national investigation into program. Stop believing the media, stop believing the experts. They better start getting honest.